so the AI model that we're talking about is basically a computer program. A computer program that's going to learn from data to make predictions or decisions. And so I want you to think about this as kind of like your email spam filter. So you know how like over time your email spam filter gets better and better, or it learns what email is junk? Well, that's kind of the same way that AI is working, and specifically, well, for me, through Google Gemini, that's who I'm representing today. But with AI, it's going to start learning based on the data that's put in. And the more it has and the more it learns, the better that information and that output's going to be. It's that learning ability that makes AI so powerful. And this predictive technology is what we call a large learning model. So if, for example, if it's going to say, based on what it knows, it could probably guess the next word. So if I said to you, peanut butter and jelly, right? So if you just start thinking about that, now it doesn't know for sure that it means jelly, but it's going to say, based on all the data that it has, we're pretty sure that statistically it's going to be the word jelly. And so that's the way that, you know, the basic underpinning of how this thing works. Now, some AI models get so good at it that they can actually take it a step further and they can create content. And that's what we are talking about when you hear generative AI or Gen AI for short. And that is really the thing that is making this take off for businesses and organizations. And AI, it's not just text. I mean, we're going to focus on text today, but it goes beyond that. Gen AI can create images, video, music, code. It can do all sorts of stuff. And that is the focus of what I'm going to talk about in this workshop to hopefully help your businesses succeed.
So Stacia, I want to chime in here. Someone was recently telling me that they were using a Gen AI tool essentially as a business coach.
Mm-hmm.
So if that
you could use the Gen AI tool for anything that you want. You could use it as a business coach. You could use it as literally a fashion consultant. Do these sneakers work with my fancy pants? You could use it as, you could actually take a photograph and ask for advice. When we go through some of the prompts, I will show you how that works. And this kind of ties into the theme that I'll be talking about a persona. And so one of the most important things for you to do when you're working with an AI tool, a Gen AI tool, is to ask it to operate in the capacity of, or act like you are a business coach, or a fashion consultant, or a marketing consultant, or a local restaurant aficionado. Whatever it is, whatever kind of expertise you're pulling from, that is part of the AI prompt. And hang on, I'm going to get into that in just 1 second. Before I do a little bit, I heard someone talk a little bit about talking about some of the ethics. And so one of the things that this presentation doesn't specifically focus on that one topic, but I will say one thing that is really important is to maintain what we call the human in the loop approach. And that means that, you know, AI is your tool. You can use AI to help you do things, but it is not intended to replace your work, your human perspective to what that output is. And as Susan said before, AI can get it wrong sometimes. And so that is why when you're using this, I want you to think of it as your partner, as your thought starter. It is not replacing the work that you need to do, because after all, you are the experts in your businesses, and you need to make sure that what the output is going to be resonate with what it is you're actually trying to get. Okay, so let's talk about prompting like a pro. So some of you have used Gemini before. How many of you has anyone here never prompted before? Anybody? Okay, so you've all prompted. That's fantastic. How many of you feel really confident about your prompting though? Okay, most of you not. So that's good. That's what we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to talk about prompting to improve your skills, and this is really going to help improve the output and help you get more from these tools. Okay, so I want you to think about prompting as literally like having a conversation with someone to give them instructions. Okay, I'm gonna, I've been doing this for a long time. I will tell you, full disclosure, when I first started getting, they told me, like, you gotta go teach these AI workshops. I'm like, okay, fine. So I started learning about prompting and AI tools. The first time I did it, it just failed. It just like, when I put in a prompt, like the results were not useful. And I almost, I almost slipped into it where I was gonna just give up and be like, I may as well just write this thing myself because it will be faster, right? And that's a really easy sort of trap to fall into. The thing is, I had unrealistic expectations that this computer program could read my mind, because it doesn't really know what I want until I really clearly articulate what it is that I want the output to be. And so it does take some work to prompt. You really do need to think about it and be very, very specific about it. But it's kind of like saying, hey, could you make me a chocolate chip cookie? And then not giving any information about like what the ingredients are, or the ratio for the ingredients, or like how many cookies you need. So it's really a matter of you needing to be very specific about what those instructions are going to be. Okay. So again, for today, we're going to be focusing on Gemini, but one of the things that I would like to put out there is that no matter what AI tool you are using, a lot of the techniques, or the techniques that I'm showing you today, can apply to any tool that you're using. Although if you haven't tried Gemini, I'd say give it a shot. If you have your computer with you, you are welcome to follow along with me. You would get to it at gemini.google.com. And then you would just make sure you need to be signed into your Google account to use it. If you don't have it with you, or your computer or your laptop, or you're just rather listen, that's absolutely fine. But when you get home, give it a shot, because I really do think that if you do it, doing it will actually help you get more out of it. Okay, so let's talk about prompting to delegate a task. Okay. So there are 5 ingredients in a really strong prompt, and I've got them up here on the screen. So if you want, you could take a photograph of this slide so you've got it. But these are the 5 things that you need to create a quality prompt and the output. Okay, let's start with each step. The first one is the task. And the task is literally describing to Gemini or to your AI tool what it is that you want it to do. Do you want it to write a blog post? Do you want it to write email copy for a customer? Do you want to write all the text for your new homepage for your website? Do you want it to create an image that shows, an example of happy customers with your products and services? Whatever it is that you want it to do, that is the task, and you need to be very clear about what you're asking it to do. So that's the first ingredient in the prompt. So let me see, how about an example? So one of the things I can tell you what I did yesterday, when I'm not presenting for Google, I do a lot of work for a nonprofit. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And so yesterday, it's today, the grant proposal was due, and I actually used Google Gemini to put my responses in, and I asked Gemini to operate as my grant writing coach, and Gemini was able to help me really refine all of the responses for that grant proposal, which we submitted today. Or get submitted today. Today's the 15th, right? Yeah. So it's going in today. But that's what I did yesterday, and so that's one example of how you might be able to use it. And the task that I gave Gemini was help me improve these responses for this grant proposal. So if any of you are filling out all sorts of proposals and things like that, you can run them through the AI tool and get advice on how to actually make it better. Now, persona, I already touched on that a little bit, but again, think about what expertise you want to pull from. And that is the next part of your prompt. Incidentally, all of these things, I've listed the 5 things, they don't need to be in any particular order. So it doesn't matter where you write this in, it's just that all the ingredients have to be in there when you are creating your prompt. So it could be, as a chef, as a marketing, as a marketer, as a airline pilot, whatever expertise you're pulling from, you need to tell Gemini or your AI tool who they are, so that